Ladies and gentlemen, as Bitcoin approaches the halving and as Bitcoin continues its bullish rampage to the upside, I'm going to be showing you what I deem to be the most important chart to watch right now, and it's probably not a chart you've seen before, and I'm going to be showing you this chart and implicating my opinions in an attempt to answer the big question. Is Bitcoin starting the bull run early? Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get into the content today, let's check out the VIP group on Telegram. You can find Telegram VIP with altcoin trading signals and a VIP group chat in the description below. The payment information, the pricing details, what you get for the membership is all in that group chat, as well as the PDF of all the historical trading results coming to a 78% win rate, which is absolutely amazing. And without further ado, we'll get into the content. If you followed this YouTube channel for any period of time, you would know that I'm a huge proponent and believer in the 4-year cycle. It's something that I've believed and based my cyclical predictions on almost solely since 2021 when I first started the YouTube channel. It allowed me to predict the 2021 November top within 12 hours of the top actually occurring, and it allowed me to predict the November 2022 bottom within a few days and within 5% of it actually occurring. So the 4-year cycle has been massively beneficial to my analysis cyclically. And right now, we are moving very quickly, right? We're going to look into short-term, medium-term price action soon, but we're out here at 46K, 20% bounce from 38.5K, which is the low here. Bitcoin's moving quite fast. And in fact, if we're zooming out, we can see that Bitcoin has seen basically zero bearish price action for any actual bearish price action. I don't just mean moving down, I mean actually forming a new low. The last time we did that really properly was March 2023, which is almost a year ago. We've had a year of exclusively bullish price action, basically, on Bitcoin. And so right now, the fact of the matter is Bitcoin has been moving very fast. And from 4-year cycle standards, we are having a question that is emerging right now. It's not a question that's confirmed by any means as of yet, but I'm going to show you when it will be confirmed or if it will be confirmed in a second. But the question is Bitcoin starting the bull run early? And the problem with that question is this: as much, as good as that sounds, as good as an early bull run sounds to you, right? Because everyone wants the price to go upwards, right? As good as it sounds, it's not actually good. And it's a point that I've raised many, many times. Profitability in a market comes from predictability. It does not come from direction. It does not come from volatility. Profitability comes from being able to predict the market. If you have a 4-year cycle date range trend, you have a perfect guidelines for cyclical predictions. And with that predictability, you can make profit because you can position yourself in a way that is predictably likely to turn out very, very well. Whereas if you have a market like we could be on the verge of right now, we're threatening to be on the verge of at least right now, where we see an early bull market, we will have no idea what that bull market is going to look like and no idea when it was going to top. That is going to make the bull market much less profitable, much harder to navigate, regardless of where it goes or how fast it gets there. We will end up in a bad situation. We want the market to be as predictable as possible. And this is where we get into the monthly chart, right? Now, let me be very clear. The market has not lost its predictability yet. The 4-year cycle in its traditional standing is still very much valid, but Bitcoin is threatening to do something quite bad here. Right? I'm not liking this right now. I'm in a bit of an uncomfortable position because, as you guys know, most of my predictions are cyclically based. And right now, what I'm observing is this. I'll just state it and then I'll back it up with the data. If Bitcoin breaks 49K before the halving, right, I think that will be a major blow to the predictability of this cycle. I'll say it again. If Bitcoin breaks 49K, if Bitcoin breaks 49,000 before the halving in April, I think that will be a major blow to the predictability of a regular 4-year cycle and will potentially lead to Bitcoin doing something very abnormal in this bull market to come, which is not ideal if we're using the mindset, which I think is true, that predictability equals profitability. I'm going to tell you exactly why I think that right now. So the monthly chart is the main part of this kind of statement, right? It really is. And what we're looking at in the monthly chart here, we've got 3 separate lines, okay? One of which is a date range measurement, one of which is a yellow dotted line, and one of which is a pink line for all 3 of the cycles. Now, I want you to draw your attention to the yellow dotted line. What you'll notice is that yellow dotted line stems from just after the bull market peak on the first dead cat bounce. And what you'll notice is this horizontal line, and it eventually, if we're going all the way across, leads to the rejection in every single accumulation phase before the bull market. right? So rejection in 2016 from the yellow line stemming from just after the bull market in 2013. Okay, rejection in 2019 from the yellow line stemming from just after the bull market in January 2018. Rejection from the yellow line in just last month, stemming from, March 2022, just after the bull market. The yellow line leads to the pre-halving correction. Okay, the rejection from the yellow dotted horizontal line leads to the pre-halving correction. We saw it here in 2016, pre-halving correction. At the halving, we started to go upwards massively. Okay, we saw it here in 2019 at the correction from the yellow line, pre-halving correction. After the halving actually occurred, we started to go up massively. COVID drop was obviously a black swan event. We can't count that into the analysis. And as of right now, we have no real reason to believe, given the structure, that after this rejection, which we saw from last month, we would see a pre-halving correction, and then after the halving, we would go upwards from there. What you'll actually notice is there's much more to this than just horizontal line observation, which would be minuscule by itself. What we actually see as well is that when we finally break above the pink line, okay, the pink line being the bull market support level. So you can see in 2013, we had that bull market support level, the pink line. Same thing here in 2017, same thing here in 2021. When we break above the pink line, it takes us about 2 to 3 months to head to the yellow line. So we broke above the pink line, which ended the bear market basically on a macro scale. It took us 2 to 3 months to get to the yellow line. And then, right, on each occasion, 2 to 3 months on every occasion here. And then once we break above the yellow line after the pre-halving correction, it takes us exactly 2 candles to break above the prior all-time high. Okay, so let me just explain this from the top again. Okay, and let me bring up RSI to help explain it as well. We see a rejection from the yellow dotted line, which lines up with a rejection from 67 exactly on the RSI. So rejection from a yellow dotted line here lines up with rejection from its RSI level. Here lines up with rejection from its RSI level. Same thing in 2024, lines up with rejection from the RSI level. Once we see those rejections, right, we go downwards to the pink line for a pre-halving correction. And once we get back above the yellow line after the halving, it takes us exactly 2 months to break above all-time highs on Bitcoin. Okay? Now, what does this tell us? It tells us that if Bitcoin, and when Bitcoin, I should say, breaks 49K, it will take exactly 2 months to get to an all-time high. Here's the issue. Bitcoin has a trend that isn't just on this chart here. It's also based heavily on the 4-year cycle itself. It has a trend, and one of the fundamental components of the 4-year cycle is getting to an all-time high or breaking all-time high from the previous cycle within an appropriate time frame. Okay, or in time. Okay, that's one of the fundamental components of 4-year cycle. Right now, we have a developing trend. Okay, it's not the be-all end-all for 4-year cycle, but it's definitely a major thing. We have a developing trend where it takes 1,100 days from all-time high to breaking that all-time high in the next cycle. 1,100 days. It happened in 2013. It happened in 2017. Okay, 1,100 days roughly on both occasions. And if we are to see that trend continue, it will take roughly 1,100 days from November 2021 to break the all-time high, which would bring us to December this year. Now, we know that breaking above the horizontal yellow line historically has only, led to Bitcoin seeing 2 months of upwards price action before reaching all-time highs. So breaking above the yellow line puts a 2-month timer on Bitcoin to breaking all-time highs, meaning that if we were to break the yellow line today using the historical trends, we would be at all-time highs by April this year. The problem is the cyclical trend, which is quite fundamental. It's not the be-all end-all, but it's quite fundamental to Bitcoin's 4-year cycle, suggests we will only be reaching all-time highs in December 2024. Meaning that if we were to break the yellow line now, we would be moving too quickly. Now, this obviously has room for error. For example, in previous cycles, it had 60 days of room for error. So even if we give 60 days of room for error, even if we go from the shortest time frame, which was 1,096 days in 2018, right? And we take back 60 days, less than that. So we say, it's going to take 1,030 days to break all-time highs from the previous all-time high. That would mean that Bitcoin would break all-time highs in September, which means we would be seeing a breakout of this yellow line at 49K in around June or July, right? So right now, it's February. Here's the issue. If Bitcoin moves upwards above 49K here and sees a monthly candle above 49K, that would be the first step that Bitcoin is starting an early bull market, and early is the enemy in regards to 4-year cycle predictability, in the same way that late is the enemy. We want to be on time. We do not want to be early. We do not want to be late. If Bitcoin starts the 4-year cycle early or starts the bull market early, especially before the halving, Okay, the halving's in April. We're in February. Right? If we break 49K on the monthly candle close before the halving, especially, I mean, that's very early, right? It's okay to be a little bit early maybe because maybe the data can align with it, but I mean, if we're breaking this levels, 4 or 5 months earlier than we're meant to, that's quite significant, and that could lead to a significant deviation in when we are expecting the Bitcoin all-time high next year, okay? Now, look, as I said, if we're using the data as it is, which, again, is data that has rooms for error, okay? There is room for error in this data, but if we're using the data as it is, Bitcoin should only be reaching an all-time high in November or December this year, okay? We have trends to suggest that upon a break of the yellow line, it only takes 2 months for Bitcoin to reach all-time highs. Meaning that we should only be breaking this yellow line 2 months before when we're meant to be reaching all-time highs, which if we're taking November, for example, as the break of all-time high day, it should only happen in September, which means we have plenty of time to correct, consolidate, whatever it may be. But even if we take it back, right, even if we stretch the data to its limits, we can say, okay, we'll break the all-time high in September. In that case, we should be breaking the yellow line in June or July. The fact of the matter is we're on the doorstep of breaking the yellow line right now, and we might be moving too quickly. So I hope that makes sense. It's hard to kind of articulate this in a manner that's professional, but basically what I'm saying is this. Bitcoin is moving too fast, and if it breaks this yellow line on a monthly candle close, okay, breaks 49K on a monthly candle close before the halving, particularly, which is in April, so let's just focus on that, before the halving, we are certainly moving too fast, and that could certainly have significant repercussions on what we're expecting with the 4-year cycle, which is the basis of all cyclical Bitcoin predictions. So I want to be very clear. In this video today on a macro scale, I'm not predicting anything. I'm merely observing reality. The reality is, if we want Bitcoin to be predictable on a cyclical scale, we do not want to be seeing a break of 49K on the monthly candle close into at least after the halving, into at least the month of April, which is 2 months away. But even later than that would be ideal. Okay, so at least the month of April. So the fact of the matter is Bitcoin's moving very fast right now, and it is threatening to start an early bull run. That's the reality. And that's not actually as good as it sounds on paper. So we're going to dive into the short term now in a second. We don't have much to say about the short term, but we'll dive into it in a second. Just want to take a quick 1-minute break.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's a little news flash for you. You trust exchanges with your money. They get hacked all the time. They lose funds all the time. So the exchange you're using, you're actually trusting with your money. You're also paying them fees for trades. You're paying up to thousands, tens of thousands of dollars per year in fees. So you want to have a bloody good exchange, right? And that's why I have 2 exchanges for you guys, 2 options depending on your location, depending on what you want from exchange. The first one is Bitget. That is a KYC exchange. You can sign up from anywhere in the world, excluding the United States, excluding Canada, and excluding Singapore. Very low fees, protection fund, the whole 9 yards. We've also got Bingx. That's our second exchange, and that is an exchange you can sign up non-KYC from anywhere in the world, including every country, right? With a VPN from anywhere in the world. Again, very low fees, protection fund, everything you need in an exchange. Both of these exchanges are top 10 exchanges in trading volume. Sign up using my referral link below to get a 15% trading fee discount on both of the exchanges. Again, they'll both be in the description. Referral link is there. Get on the good exchange and become a proper trader. Don't use these trashy exchanges that you're risking your money and paying over in fees. Guys, let's get back into the video.
Now, on the short-term charts, I can't lie to you, we've seen great moves, and we've seen great moves based on a daily candle RSI breakout, as well as an inverted head and shoulders candle formation, as well as a bullish pennant formation, all of which breaking to the upside in a kind of a simultaneous fashion, leading to an exponential amount of strength on Bitcoin. Guys, Bitcoin's on a rampage in the short term, and I actually do expect Bitcoin will retest this red zone. I do expect Bitcoin will come up and retest these highs. As to whether it will get to 49K exactly is a question that I can't answer at this point, but I do expect this red zone, the 47.5K resistance zone at least to be retested, 47K to be retested. That's what the charts indicate at this point in time. There is obviously a threat, and a significant threat, and honestly, I'm hopeful, to be honest, if we're looking at what I just spoke about in a macro scale, it would be ideal if Bitcoin did see a double top formation. That would lead to obviously months of downside price action, consolidation, whatever it may be, and will bring us into a situation which after the halving we can move upwards and see a regular bull market. In my opinion, and I'm trying to be as non-biased as possible when I say this, if you just looked at the chart I saw, it seems pretty clear to me that cyclically speaking, in terms of the health of the 4-year cycle, that is what we want to see. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to happen, and I don't really have any concrete evidence that it's going to happen or not. What I can tell you is this. Bitcoin right now may look very bullish, and it is very bullish in the short term, but on a medium term scale, it's actually not as bullish as you might think it is. That's the reality, because the trend right now is not strictly bullish. What we saw is an upwards trend with higher highs and higher lows throughout this entire time. Here we saw the most recent higher low at 40k. We broke down to 38.5, hence we fractured that upwards trend. We formed our first lower low, and this right now could be a lower high. It could be. And even if it's an equal high, that's still relevant and still valid with a downwards trend. We see an equal high, then we continue to see lower lows. That's a downwards trend forming right there. So the daily chart right now, although we've seen all these bullish triggers, although we've seen this price action go upwards quite massively, the daily chart right now, unfortunately, is not strictly bullish, and nor is the weekly chart, although it is leaning in that direction. The weekly chart right now, you can see we have this major resistance zone at 43.8k. We rejected from it on 2 separate candle closes and on multiple separate candle wicks. We've seen wicks above it before, so us just being above it right now without a close isn't particularly significant. What we could very well see is Bitcoin retracing downwards and closing below it. If we did see that, that would obviously mean the weekly chart's not in a good scenario. And so right now, the weekly chart is unconfirmed bullish. It has unconfirmed bullish strength. We need that confirmation first. If we do get a weekly candle close above 43.8k, the scenario in which Bitcoin breaks 49k becomes incredibly more likely, and the scenario in which Bitcoin starts an early bull market again becomes more likely. But as of right now, I know it's frustrating to hear, but it's the reality. As of right now, nothing is actually being confirmed to be macro bullish, or at least long-term bullish. Right now, the medium-term range is still regular. And right now, if we're looking at the charts from a objective basis, and we're simplifying it very much, right? What we can see objectively right now, right? This is just, I don't know how you could refute this, to be honest with you, right? Unless you're completely influenced by the short-term price action and just seeing green numbers on the screen. The reality is, the daily chart is not bullish yet. The weekly chart is unconfirmed bullish, but not bullish yet. And the monthly chart is actually quite bearish, because we saw a bearish doji candle rejection from 49k at a zone which we've rejected before, both in the RSI and the price action. So none of these charts are strictly bullish yet in terms of confirmation. They are certainly showing promise, but we haven't seen the confirmation of it yet. So right now, I think people are still jumping the gun. I do think that. And I'm not strictly concerned about getting the lowest price for buying right now on Bitcoin, because I've already bought my Bitcoin bags, and I've already said on this YouTube channel for over a year about where you should buy. We bought down here 16, 17k. We bought up here 20, 21k. We bought up here 28.5k. We bought here 30k, 38k. We don't need to buy any more here in the mid 40ks. If you're buying here at this point, in my opinion, you're a little bit late to the party, especially when it comes to Bitcoin, because we are going to be entering a part of the cycle soon where Bitcoin is going to start and get outperformed by altcoins. I don't necessarily think strictly that this is the best time to be buying Bitcoin at all. I don't think that's been the case for the last 2 months, to be honest with you. So I'm not necessarily concerned about where we're buying Bitcoin. We have not sold any Bitcoin bags. I've never once advocated for selling macro Bitcoin bags. So in terms of our actual portfolio valuations, if you actually listen to this channel, which, you don't have to do. I'm just saying, we haven't been down at all. In fact, we're upwards as much as anyone, if not more than everyone, because we bought lower. So I'm just making cyclical observations. That's all I'm doing here. Cyclical observations and medium-term, long-term observations. What are my observations? My observations are this. Bitcoin's moving too fast. If Bitcoin breaks 49k on a monthly candle close, that would be very bad for the cycle. That would trigger an early bull run. But overall, it could lead to very bad things, like us not being able to predict when Bitcoin will be finishing that bull run, and not being able to predict the structure of the bull run, which are much, much worse than moving a few months early to the upside. Okay? That's my cyclical observation. So hopefully we don't do that. I mean, seriously, hopefully we don't do that. And then my medium-term observation is, until we break 49k in the daily chart is not bullish. Until we break 43.8k on the weekly chart is not strictly bullish either. And the monthly chart right now is not bullish until we get a monthly candle close above 49k. Like it or not, we do need to see these confirmations before we can have concrete opinions on Bitcoin. And like it or not, that does mean before you actually know what's going on, Bitcoin could be significantly higher or lower than where it is right now. That's just how charts work. Okay, I can sit here and I could use subjective short-term analysis using narrative structures in my analysis all day long, and perhaps I'd be correct in some scenarios, but I'm telling you right now that my win rate would not be as high as it is. I've got a 78.52% win rate in VIP for a reason. I trust the actual data. I trust the actual chart. So I think the most important thing you can watch right now is zooming out of the short-term price action and looking at the cyclical price action. We have a 10-year long, 12-year long cyclical trend on Bitcoin, starting from the first halving in 2012. That tells us very clearly what we should be seeing cyclically. And if we deviate from that level, if we close a monthly candle above 49K, I will sit here proudly and say that I would have made the same comments again. Because that is the strongest thing we can trust, and it's stronger than any narrative sentence you can come up with in your head. Right now, we need to be watching this monthly chart, and if we close a monthly candle close above 49K before the halving, Bitcoin is in danger of doing things we do not want it to do. That is the reality, guys. So everything kind of relies on these next 2 months, and everything kind of relies on this retest of the red zone. Really, I mean, I'm very serious when I say that. A lot of people have the impression that the price going upwards is the same as the price doing good things. I don't think that's the case at all. I think trends need to remain intact. And I think anyone with a logical state of mind, a non-biased state of mind, will agree with me on that point. So guys, I'm interested to hear what you think. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Check out the Crypto Academy's Become a Trader 10-unit course. If you want to learn how to trade, you want to learn how to analyze the markets like I did in this video, you can check out that course. All the information's on the website, as well as our email address for contact details and payment information directly. Guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Cheers.